Greetings, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another wonderful episode of Help for the Guildless. My name, of course, is Antoine. Now, before I go gilding the lily and get all hyperactive about this, I'm going to be talking about a video game today. Not just any video game, a video game that is mired in controversy. So much so, it's not just one controversy. Oh no, this game has spawned many controversies. How, may you ask? How does one game cause so many problems? Is it extremely violent and graphic and horrible like Hatred was? Or maybe it's completely and utterly sexist like Honey Pop? Or just maybe, it's none of those things, and it has to do more with the journalists that are involved with it. Well, that's the actual case. It's the journalists that are causing the problems with Cuphead. Now, if you don't know what Cuphead is, it is an Xbox One exclusive game. It's, in its essence, it is a boss rush game. All of the main levels are nothing but boss fights, and each boss fight is multi-layered, and they are hard as hell. Their normal mode is actually hard mode. Their hard mode is expert mode, and their expert mode is hold on to your ass because we're going to ream you. But there are some run and gun platform style levels in between. The amazing thing about Cuphead is this beautifully done game, which is done in the art style of the 1930s cartoons. This beautifully done game was created by 3 people. So how does this game, which sounds so innocuous, cause controversy? Well, about, I would say a month ago, there was a video. As a matter of fact, it's the same video that's on screen right now. This is the tutorial level. Now, as I said, Cuphead is an impossibly hard game. And the person who's reviewing this is named Dean Takahashi, who happens to be a 15-year veteran of game journalism. So much so that, as you can see, the absolute cringe fest of him playing the tutorial level. You see, Dean actually found the very first boss of Cuphead. No one understood that it was going to be a perfectly cylindrical pillar that didn't interact, that didn't attack, or that didn't do anything. But it proves the difficulty of this game. He can't even follow simple directions to get past this boss. And this is on the tutorial level. All in all, this video takes 2.5 minutes for him to get past the tutorial, with the directions on how to do things plastered on the background of the game. Now, how did this cause controversy? Well, gamers, being who they are, when they came across this, they decided to start, tearing Dean apart. He was made fun of, he was ostracized, and pretty much made to feel like a horse's ass for not being able to complete a tutorial level. This is not the only time something like this has happened with Dean, though. Now, the entire video, if you want, I'll link it down below, is actually 26 minutes long, and it's him doing the tutorial and then the first level of the game, and apparently he utterly sucks at it. I couldn't make it past the tutorial. Dean has had issues in the past, and in this instance, one of the more notable ones is he reviewed a little-known game that didn't get much popularity from BioWare, called Mass Effect. I don't know if you've heard it. It's a really, really exquisite third-person action over-the-shoulder shooter from BioWare. It's science fiction based. The story is great. The choices you make affect how your members of your party interact with you. As a matter of fact, how the NPCs interact with you as well. Well, Dean's review took this little-known game and complained that the difficulty spike about 2 hours in I think he said 2 to 3 hours in, was enough to make it to where he didn't want to play anymore. And he doesn't understand why BioWare, this little known company, would do something like this. Dean, who was a 5-year veteran of game journalism back then, because Mass Effect is 10 years old. I feel old now. Thank you, Dean. He didn't understand as a gamer that you could level up your character, give yourself abilities, give yourself boosts and things of that nature, which I don't understand because I've never played Mass Effect, but I did play Dragon Age, and I know for a fact that BioWare does the same thing in Mass Effect that they did in Dragon Age. Their tutorial is very, very user-friendly. It actually flashes at you that you've leveled up, and you level up really quickly because they want to show you how to do it. So he kind of gave BioWare a little conniption fit, and he's one of the reasons that Dragon Age 2 turned into the garbage that it was. Now, if Dean would have let this just go, if he would have admitted, yeah, I fucked up, the whole thing was just a clusterfuck, it would have been the end of it. Gamers would have made fun of him for a little while, and then, it would have been over. Instead, he decided to double down, and with the rest of his little buddies circled the wagons. Dean demanded respect as a journalist, and because gamers weren't giving it to him, well, now, the first thing that they did was stand up for Dean, saying that, oh, it was just a in-joke, he was just showing how bad that this game was and how difficult it could be. That, of course, was untrue. So when that didn't work, people like Dante Douglas came out of the woodwork and saying stupid things like video game culture needs to stop fetishizing skill. Let that sink in for a second. Stop fetishizing skill. The thing that you need to beat video games, to actually be able to accomplish anything in video games. I'm sure professional gamers are happy to understand that you don't need skill anymore because it's fetishized. Being skillful at something is now a bad word. They only get paid thousands of dollars in tournaments and things like that for their ability to play the game. But you don't need skill. It's fetishizing it. When you tell someone to get good, you're actually hurting them in the process. You're making them feel weak. You're making them feel stupid. And we have to take into consideration everyone's tiny little feelings. Here, game journalists, let me explain something to you about the term get good. Spelt G-I-T-G-U-D. Get good. When we tell you that, as gamers, when we tell you to get good, we're not telling you to get good at the game. The term get good is used when someone, like yourself, Dante, starts complaining about something in a video game that is actually arbitrary and benign. It's an insult to you because you decide to bitch about something that is so easy to understand. Here, let me give you a really easy example. Someone who plays Overwatch, who didn't go through the tutorial, jumps in, and then dies more than a few times, loses his first few games, goes onto the forums and says, this game is horrible. How do you do this? How do you do that? I don't understand why Soldier 76 is able to lock on to me when he says, I've got you in my sights and I can't run from it. All of that is explained in the game. So instead of explaining all of that and making the person feel like they're being talked down to, we sum it up into 2 words. Get good. It's all they need to know. But you see, people like Dante and people like Dean don't want you to have fun with video games. Oh, no, no, no. They have got it in their head that games do not need to be fun. Gamers are not important. These are the same type of people that put out the 10 articles. Gamers are dead. Gamers are not your audience. Do you want definitive proof? All right. Rock, Paper, Shotgun, supposedly one of the best gaming sites out there, supposedly, has an article up as of right now saying, now Ubi's open the door. Can we have our skip boss fight button? And when they say Ubies, they're talking about Ubisoft. I thought this was a joke article. Now, John Whittaker is a fucking moron, and for penning this, he needs to be fired. And what they're talking about with Ubisoft is Ubisoft created DLC for their latest Assassin's Creed game. And it's basically a museum mode. You can pay to have everything stop. No story, no anything. And you can explore the open world. And basically, this is an homage to the level designers. So, with that, John Walker wants you to be able to skip bosses. You know, the all-important thing of why we fucking want to complete the game in the first place. Yes, let's go ahead and skip boss fights. Sure. Shadow of the Colossus, one of the best video games out there, would be nothing more than riding a horse from one giant colossi to the other without doing anything and then dying at the end. You'd pay $60 for 20 minutes of a video game. They don't want games to be challenging. They don't want games to be fun because they can't do it. They can no longer do their jobs. And we're supposed to trust them. They sit on high with this inflated ego of themselves, and they want us to listen to what they say as if it's gospel when they come out with garbage like this. Are you kidding me? When I'm playing a game, let's say Nier Automata, since that's one of the Let's Plays that I'm doing on my sister channel, when I hit a boss fight, I get apprehensive. I get nervous. Did I grind enough? Do I have the skills to beat this boss? And when I hit that boss fight, I don't want to die. I don't want to have to start it over. As a matter of fact, I want to hit that boss fight and make that boss's AI cry because of the reaming that I give it. Because I get a sense of accomplishment. And that's what we all get as gamers, a sense of accomplishment for what we did when beating a game like Cuphead, which has artificial difficulty. It's made to be hard, in the same veins as Devil May Cry 3 and Ninja Gaiden Black. Its bosses have the same patterns, like, say, Mega Man. The run-and-gun sections are very reminiscent of Contra on the NES. This game is meant to be hard, but when you beat it, there is a sense of accomplishment. These games journalists, they don't want you to have skill. They don't want you to fight a boss. They don't want you to have any fun with the games. They want it to be fucking Farmville or Bejeweled. They want them to be mindless so they can just shill out to you exactly what they want you to buy. I have news for you, journalists. Get this through your thick fucking skulls. You equate 3% of all game sales. Do you want to know who holds the power in influencing people in sales? Gamers. You know, the ones that you think aren't your audience, the ones you think are still dead, the ones you think that you can talk down to and not have any repercussions. Let's Players and gamers are the reason sales increase. So that was three controversies. The tutorial, the no skill wanted or fetishized in games, and then the skip boss fight button. What possibly could go on with Cuphead? Well, since Cuphead is beautifully rendered by these three Swedish men, and it is done in the vein of 1930s cartoons, and the game itself is pretty much flawless with little glitches here or there that can be patched out. What possibly could they go after? Oh, I know. Let's go after the animation. Gaming Free Press. Megan Pele, ASU professor. Cuphead is racist. Playing it is a hate crime. Because of course it is. That's right. Cuphead is suddenly racist. Now, I don't have a lot of examples. I have the article itself, plus a couple of tweets. But they couldn't destroy this game because it hurt a journalist's feelings. So now they're going after its art style. The art style of the 1930s is whimsical, joyous, but apparently it's racist, and playing it is a hate crime. There's no overt racism in Cuphead. It's a cup on his head. He fires bullets out of his fingers. He is working to save his own soul against other souls that have escaped the devil, and he's basically a bounty hunter. But it's racist. Journalists, please listen when I say this. You've lost the plot. You do not understand what your job is anymore. You have jumped on this social justice bandwagon and you are willing to ride it all the way to hell. And that's exactly where you're going if you continue to try and preach from on high and demand things from gamers when you don't deserve it. What's next? First, it was difficulty. The difficulty was too hard. You don't need skill. And then let's just skip the bosses, which means Cuphead, you'd be paying $20 for 3 levels or so. And on top of all of that, well, the game is racist because of the art style that they chose. For reasons. What's next? I know. Cuphead is now suddenly sexist because both of the cups are brothers. We can't have that. The only female representation there is in this game are enemies. This game is portraying women as nothing but villains. We can't have that. One of those cups has to change. You need to put tits on one of those cups. If you want tits on any of the Cuphead characters, go check the chans. Rule 34, I'm sure it's happened already. Game journalist, your job is very simple. As a reviewer, your job is even simpler. You have very few things that you need to do. 1. Play the game. 2. Decide if the game is fun. 3. Are there any glitches you found? 4. Review the music. Review the level designs. 5. Review the gameplay. Is it fun? Is it challenging? Is it something that you would recommend? If you can't reach those 5 criteria, then you need to find something else to do with your time. Because I know quite a few people that would love to be in your shoes, being able to do something as fun and challenging and satisfying as playing games for a living. And those are my thoughts on Cuphead. I wish I had an Xbox One to be able to play it. Thank you for listening, ladies and gentlemen. I'd love to know your thoughts on this situation and the quote-unquote controversies that have been plaguing Cuphead since its release. Let me know in the comments. If you like what I do here, please hit like, share, and subscribe. It really does help the channel grow, and I am doing what I can to make that happen. If you'd like to follow me on any of the social medias, all of the links are down below, as well as the links to the articles that I found that I did discuss in this video. This has been Help for the Guild List. My name once again is Antoine. Thank you once again, thank you for listening, ladies and gentlemen, and have a wonderful evening.